decorations over your head? What's that?
No, they are like glass bulbs. But guess what, Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun, we are live. So we won't even talk about my home decor. Let me say thank you to those who are tuning in for another one of our Facebook Lives. We are continuing to celebrate Black History Month. And we have, like, I think, one of the best guests we could possibly have for this installment. If you don't recognize her, she just put simple Carol under her name. I love the simplicity of that, Ambassador. But this is former U.S. Senator and Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun, right here from the state of Illinois. And let me just start out by saying welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to join you this morning.
Oh my gosh. You know, so when I called you last week and asked if you would do this, you were more than gracious. We talked about, we have a very close mutual connection, and that is my father.
Absolutely.
Who worked behind the scenes always in politics, but knew Carol. And I remember, Ambassador, when I ran into you, were in Rock Island, you were campaigning here. This was, I don't know, maybe a few years ago. I might have been running for my first term, and you were here in Rock Island County, and you had mentioned that you still had my dad's phone number in your cell phone. And I remember just thinking, you know what, that was pretty special that you said that to me.
Well, he was pretty special. He was a wonderful man, and no doubt he gave you all of your people skills. So you've come, the apple has not fallen far from that tree, which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, you know how that works. But so the reason, Madam Ambassador, that I wanted you to be part of this is, you know, when we think of Black History Month, I mean, you are history. You are living history. The first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Senate, the first woman to defeat an incumbent U.S. senator in an election, which was my dad's boss, Alan Dixon, at the time, and the first female U.S. senator from Illinois. But, you know, I know that those accomplishments, you know, they don't happen overnight. So tell us a little bit about you, how you first became interested in and involved in politics. Like, kind of go back. How did you become this historical fixture in America?
Well, Congresswoman, let me say this at the outset. I'm reminded of two little boys walking down this hallway at the Carol Moseley Braun Elementary School, and one says, "Hey, there goes Carol Moseley Braun," and the other one said, "You mean she's not dead yet?" So I'm not dead yet. I'm still here. So the good news, I'm still here, so I can talk about these things. It happened. It wasn't just me. Obviously, it was the timing, and it was the state of our community when I ran for election, and that's how those things happen. I had served in the state legislature for 10 years before I even considered a run for the Senate or for Congress even. I had been in local government as recorder of deeds. I'd been an assistant United States attorney. And I'd done these things because, again, the opportunities had been made available to me. It was just a matter of coincidence, really, more than anything else. It wasn't just my effort, because my efforts would have been for naught if it had not been that the community, that Illinois was ready to send a woman to the United States Senate and prepared to make it a Black woman. People voted for me all over the state, and from far southern Illinois to the obvious Democratic strongholds in Illinois. But I got votes all over in the suburban areas and that's what allowed me to win the primary, and then once that was done, win the general.
So talk a little bit about some of the challenges, like the biggest challenges that you faced during your career. I mean, you've been a first in, you know, all kinds of examples. So talk a little bit about those.
Well, you know something, I think it was Eleanor Clift who once said to me, "You can always tell a pioneer by the arrows in their back."
That's good. That is good.
I've been using it for 20 years now because it is that kind of good. And I guess because when I got to the Senate, particularly when I got to the Senate, when I was in the state legislature, nobody really cared. I mean, I worked really hard and I served Illinois, did the best job I could. I even sued my own party. I don't know if you were aware of that, but I sued the party over reapportionment and won. I won a victory that created the first Hispanic district in Illinois ever. And so I have been trudging along, doing my job, or just as best I knew how to do it. And then not just opportunity, because when the president nominated Clarence Thomas to the United States Supreme Court, I was so taken aback because I knew my life path would not have been possible had it not been for the Warren Court. they opened up doors for, you know, little brown girls like me from the South Side of Chicago, working class, Black, obviously, female, obviously, and well, no, not obviously. I had to produce my birth certificate to prove I was a woman, but anyway, so with all those things, it was the Warren Court that made it possible. And this nomination, as far as I was concerned, flew in the face of that. It was the absolute antithesis of Thurgood Marshall. And so when that happened, I must admit, I talked to our incumbent senator twice. I didn't want him to be surprised by it. I tried to explain to him why this was so such a bad blow for people like myself who've been working for civil rights over the years. And he didn't get it. He did not understand why I was frustrated by the nomination. Didn't. And then, of course, came the Anita Hill thing, and that just riled up women all over the state. And so you put those things together, and then the gazillionaire who's running also and spent all that money beating up on. I never had a bad thing to say about Alan Dixon. And all that time, I did not have a bad thing to say about Alan Dixon. And this other guy just spent a gazillion dollars beating up on him and saying what he had done wrong and this, that, and the other. And so between the money on the one hand and the opportunity on the other, I came in the middle and I won.
Absolutely. So you're elected to the U.S. Senate, and I'm guessing probably the attention on you, it was probably worldwide attention, right? And, you know, so you had all those pressures, everything coming at you, being the first. Tell us a little bit about, you know, what are the lessons that you take out of this enormous success on a very personal level and on a very public level?
Well, to the extent I've been able to digest and understand it, it's been 20 years and I've done my best to try to understand what's going on. Remember, Cheri, you may not, you probably don't remember this. My mother died the first week that I got to the United States Senate. So I was in the process of leaving my mother and then having, as you point out, all this attention at the same time. And frankly, I was unprepared because I had been in the state legislature. I thought they would easily translate, you know, state representative and all the work I did because I was assistant majority leader in Illinois House. And but it didn't translate at all. And I was prepared to go there and to be a legislator, to represent all of Illinois and do the best job I could for the people of my state. And everybody, the media particularly, everybody was looking for me to be something else. And it's like, okay, I've come this far, I'm this old, I'm not gonna change and just become this symbol or this, you know, this entertainer overnight just to suit you. That's not what I told the people of Illinois I was going to do when I ran for office, and it's not what I'm going to do. And so I just kind of hunkered down, focused in on doing my job, and I hope, you know, I did not win re-election, but you know, I didn't navigate the media relations as well as I could or should have. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's several things. There's the job description, there's doing your job, there's communication, there's making sure that you let people know that you're doing your job. There's making sure that you build constituency and you build an organization so that can support your efforts. And I didn't do any of that either. So, I mean, I'm pointing to my own failures, right? And then there is putting together an effective campaign. And as I know, you know, campaigns are an animal in of themselves. They're very different. There's nothing like, as far as I can tell, there's nothing like it. It's a multi-billion-dollar unregulated industry that you have to have the experience to know how to do it in order to know how to do it. So it's like any other job that does not have a guidebook. So those are the lessons. Those are my takeaways.
So let me just drill a little bit deeper on that. So you're grieving your dear mother's loss, which I can't even imagine that happening when you've got this huge challenge ahead of you. You talked about the media. So I'm guessing the media was probably hard on you. Would that be fair to say that? It was like you felt like we're okay. So you've got all of that going on. You're a woman, you're a first, you know, all of this. How then on like a personal level, how do you keep your chin up? How do you just keep going day after day with all of that going on in your life?
I'll tell you, Congresswoman, that's where faith comes in as far as I'm concerned. That's what I resorted to. And that's what carried me through my faith, my family. And I did the best I could to stay grounded. And just, you know, if you do that, I think, and to do my job, I mean, I was very focused on being a legislator, which was part of my problem in hindsight. I should have figured out, I had to be more like Oprah. I had to be more like an entertainer, and to make people like me and the press particularly like me, as opposed to what I did. But I just hunkered down to do my job as a legislator, which, as you know, is not very glamorous. I mean, people see politicians sitting on the dais and they think it's this glamorous job. In fact, it's hard work if you're doing it right. It's a lot of attention to detail. It's a lot of reading stuff and going through getting the real world experience of any number of different fields in which you're not an expert. You become an expert. You have to learn overnight how to become an expert in whether it's corn futures or manufacturing or whatever. You have to learn these things, and so you have to do all of those things simultaneously. The old walk and chew gum. And it's not that it's not a hard job in one sense, because you kind of control your own calendar in a way, but it's not an easy job either. And so to do a not easy job as a neophyte, just kind of on your own trying to figure it out, was part of my challenge.
So, but you landed on your feet. I mean, you served a term, 6 years in the U.S. Senate. Then you became an ambassador to two different countries. So you landed on your feet pretty well. Also, probably something very new, where there's probably a tremendous learning curve. So if you look at your time in the Illinois State Legislature, in the U.S. Senate as an ambassador, are there people who stand out who like helped you along the way? Somebody that you admire or who inspired you during all of this?
Absolutely. Well, none of us can do these things by ourselves. You have to have partners, if you will, and you have to have people who are prepared to support you. And so I was blessed to have a coterie of people around me, including my brother, to help me get through a lot of this. And they did. And I'm so grateful, because I'll tell you something, ambassador is the easiest, best job in the world, just so you know.
Oh, really? So you were ambassador to New Zealand, right?
New Zealand, Samoa, right. And the thing about, I just yesterday had a conversation with a lawyer in New Zealand, and we were talking about how it's paradise there. It really is. It's a wonderful place. It's beautiful, and the people are so nice, and so it couldn't have been better. But I spent 3 years, well, 2.5 years really, as ambassador to paradise, I'd like to say.
well, not a bad way to land on your feet. I have a niece, in fact. So my brother, his daughter lives in New Zealand now, and she calls it paradise also. So she would affirm that. She will be glad that we're having this conversation. All right. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. I've got one last question.
Sure.
So again, we're in Black History Month. What does that mean to you? What would you like to share with our folks who are watching us right now?
Well, I'm delighted they're watching, number one. I'm delighted that people are finally getting interested in Black history, because it's American history. And the history informs where we are now and where we're going to go forward, how we're going to go forward. And so the people who are beginning to pay attention to Black history as a part of American history, I salute and applaud them, because it's very important that people understand what created our country. Because this is how America got to be great. It started off as a slave country, as you know, and we got through slavery with the Civil War, which was hideous and horrendous. And then we went from there into my grandfather. I got my screensaver here. My grandfather fought in World War I. So we've had people involved, Black people have been involved in this country from the very beginning, and working and fighting to try to keep it strong and to provide opportunity. And it's been that driving force, the idea that this country can be better. This country is the best in the world, but it can be better. And I think that's been what's driven all of us, all the generations over time, that makes Black History Month so important.
Well, you have been more than kind to accept our invitation to be on our Facebook Live. And you look awesome, by the way. I mean, you do. You look like you looked when you were first elected.
Oh,
what year was that? 1990? Was that the year when you were first elected to the U.S. Senate?
It was 91.
91. All right. So, you know, I mean, you look awesome. I just want to say thank you and keep up the good work. You know, when you said that you didn't want to change who you are, you wanted to be grounded. Every time I have interacted with you, Ambassador Moseley Braun, you are always gracious. And I can confirm that I think you have done a wonderful job through being a U.S. Senator and ambassador to 2 countries, that you are grounded. Thank you, and have a great week. And you get the closing remarks. Anything you want to say, and we'll close out.
I want to say how proud I am of you. You've done a great job. Your dad would be proud of you. You conference chair and all of that. You have done it, and you really are breaking new ground yet again. Playing on, you know, again, working the inside game. You get along with people, and people like you as a result of that, and that's really wonderful. So congratulations, and thank you for having me today.
You are too kind, and I'm glad to end on that note. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And again, Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun, thank you very much for being somebody who's so inspirational to so many, not just in the state of Illinois, but in our entire country.
My pleasure. Thank you.